Thank you. That's an unusual thing. Is it 11, sir, back there? Yes, it is. So, welcome to all of our online people, those coming with us on YouTube, and thank you all for being here. It's a it's a lovely day. Warm, isn't it? Is it warm? It seems to be warm in lots of places. I am going to a place that's even warmer than we are this evening, and so we just have to think cool thoughts, don't we? We're cool in here, so that's the way that we want to be. We are glad that you're here, and Reverend Mary Morgan is our speaker today, so I know she has some wonderful things to share with us when she comes, when it's her time to come into the light. We are talking about Sunday. Sunday services are, of course, at 11 o'clock, and Mark and Monica Ruth are our speakers on Sunday, so we are eager to hear what they want to share with us. Their title is In the Flow. And then we move to next week, and on Tuesday, Reverend Kathy's book reading club is continuing. They have such a lively group. Some of you all are in that group, and it's everyone enjoys the discussion, and I understand that because there's give and take. You get to pause and ask questions. It's a very useful thing to do. And then also on Tuesday, and we're all the way to the 16th of August next Tuesday. On the 16th, our yoga class returns. It was off for a week, and she is back, and we will stretch in Richelieu Hall on our mats. The classes are $10, and anyone is invited. Just bring a mat and come on down. And then we move to next Wednesday, and we have the book reading online, The Art of Life, and it too, is one of those situations where you just talk about a sentence or a paragraph in the reading that you're doing, and it can be very illuminating. So it's open to all. It is online. You have to get a link if you want to get on that class. And then next Wednesday morning service, Reverend Kathy Sinfield is going to be the speaker next Wednesday. So you know that what is going on. We're to August the 17th at that point. The next day, that's August the 18th, Thursday, we have our monthly labyrinth. It is over in Richelieu Hall. It's really a very lovely experience, especially if you've never been. This may be the perfect time. The air conditioning will be on, and so you can enjoy a lovely mind-body meditation. And it's really a great idea to contemplate moving while you're meditating. It's a great experience. If you've never done that, it's definitely something I invite you to consider. So that's next Thursday. It's at 5 p.m., and it goes until 7 p.m. Since it doesn't have a starting time, you can just come anywhere in there because you're on your own, and you simply move at your own pace. So that's next Thursday, August the 17th. Now, what is ongoing for certainly the month of August is that we're collecting school supplies for Rainbow Services. All of the schools are back in, and everything is, many of the schools are struggling with whatever it is they have going on. But we collect school supplies for those children whose mothers have left their family home for reasons that are known to them, but they very often leave with nothing but what they're wearing when they leave, and certainly don't bring school supplies and things with them. And so it has been a job that Maureen has taken up starting back in 2004 to meet that need. Whatever's going on in their lives, whatever turmoil, she loves the idea of a fresh backpack or a fresh set of paper and notebooks and pencils and all those things to start. And so that was the motivation for beginning this. And our center has been so generous with that program over time that we have supplied all the school supplies that they need in a year. It's quite impressive. And so I remember one year, not this year, nothing has been the same this year, but one year, Maureen called them saying, well, I'm about to begin this. And she said, well, that's good. We are beginning to run out. And so that's the first time I think she fully realized how much we are doing. And as she mentioned on Sunday, the cash that we get from many people who do that also goes for uniforms, because in the period of time that Maureen's been doing this, more schools started requiring uniforms as part of how they need to go to school. So it all goes to Rainbow Services. Everything does. And so it's one of the, to me, it's one of those wonderful things where you know that every dollar that you're giving goes directly to the thing you're giving it to. And that's always a really great feeling. So before I step down and welcome Reverend Mary, I want to thank you all simply for being here. Those of you that join us online are especially welcome too. And I thank you for the messages that you send, for the cards that you're sending. Dr. Moira appreciates cards if you're sending them in for her. She reads all of them. And to thank you for, certainly for the financial support that you're giving our center. You know, we can't manage without all of that. And we especially appreciate your prayer support. That's probably the most important thing. And so I thank you, all of you, for being here, for being there online, and for supporting us the way you do. And now, as I often like to say, the spotlight moves to the Reverend Mary Morgan.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to go get the little podium thing over here so I can, this little guy. I get my workout too. Ooh, just make sure it doesn't go crashing down. How's everybody doing? I guess we don't have the lights working yet, huh? Darn it. And then, Grant, I'm going up, right? Darn it. I wish I was down there with you guys, so I'll pretend like I am, okay? How is everybody doing? Oh, gosh. I guess I can't stand anywhere where that spotlight isn't. It's a big one. It's Wednesday, it's midweek, it's hump day. Today, my topic is, I was a wordy bird last night and just kept typing. So I don't even know what I'm talking about. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking about spiritual unfoldment. A lot of times that's my topic. I either call it in the flow or unfolding or spiritual development or whatever it is. But it's just a matter of taking a look at ourselves and our spiritual development and where we're going in life. So I've seen this email a couple times, and I got it a little while ago, and it said it's important to live in the dash. And you know, they reference the dash to being the year that you're born and the year that you pass away. And it usually says, you know, this date, 19 whatever, and then this date, 19 or 2000 whatever, and there's a dash. And they said how you live the dash is so important. It's about what we're all here for, knowing that, you know, at the moment that we were born with a purpose. Now, I've talked to people, and I myself have had the same conversation of like, well, what does that mean? Sometimes I don't know what my purpose is. Does everybody here know what their purpose is? Yeah, well, some of us do, and some of us don't. Some of us go, well, I did know what my purpose was, and then that purpose kind of went away, and now I'm not, it's go fish. I don't know what I'm doing right now. But the thing is that understanding that our real purpose is to just come here and discover our gift and give it to the world. That's our purpose. That's our big, in the big scheme of things, that's our big purpose. It's just knowing, hey, I am who I am, and whatever I'm bringing to the table, I'm going to bring it and share it to the world in a loving way, not in a icky way or a controlling way or angry way or anything. I read a quote by Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead was born in the early 1900s, and she was a real dramatic actress. And she said, you know, if I had my life to live over, I'd live it the same way, but I'd make my mistakes quicker. Isn't that true? Wouldn't you go back and say, God, if I only knew, you know? So I was think for a second about a situation you may be in. Think of a situation, a pickle you're in now, like you're trying to figure something out now, right? You got that? Anybody need to borrow a pickle from me if you don't have a pickle for your own life? So think of a pickle that you're in, and now go backwards in time. Could be last week, it could be 10, 5, 15 years ago, whatever it is. But look back at a time back then when you were in a pickle, and then you got out of it. And while you were in the pickle back then, not now, but back then, you had no idea what it was you were going to do to fix whatever challenge you were facing. Does that make sense? Like you were like, gosh, I'm stumped. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck, right? And yet you made it through it, right? You made it through it. And so now, fast forward to today's pickle that you're in, because we're always in a pickle, right? That's what we're here. We're working our stuff out. So the pickle that you're in today, imagine if you came from the answer already. Instead of worrying about what's going to happen or what you're supposed to do, what if you came from the answer and said, you know what? I don't know exactly how it's going to look, but I know it's totally going to work out. And the moment you come from the place that it's totally going to work out, what happens? It does, right? And why does it? Because you've surrendered. You've opened up to saying, you know what? I of myself do nothing, and I can't figure out all the answers, but what I am going to do is I'm going to provide an atmosphere in my life that welcomes the solution. Because sometimes worry has a frenetic energy. You ever been around anyone with worry? Because I'm sure nobody in this room has ever worried before. But have you ever been around someone that's a real worrywart and they're like, oh God, worried about this and that? You're with them and all of a sudden you're making the same gestures and you walk away and you're agitated in some way. It's because you've picked up on their energy. So the key is being that present moment of saying, you know what, I don't know what the answer is. But guess what? I do know that I can provide a space for that answer to show up. And if it's, I've been doing some interviews on some jobs. And so when the jobs aren't working out, all I say to myself is, it's that old, if the train doesn't stop at your station, then it ain't your train. Well, that's what it is. It's like, okay, you know what? It's not meant to be, so it's okay. So you have to come from just that restful space of knowing that everything good's going to come out of this. In religious science, we call God spirit, first cause, divine mind, creative intelligence, end all be all. We call God so many, many things. But what it is God is also the very essence of who we are, that we're made from that. And it's important to remember that spirit is to have, the way to think about spirit is to have a sense that I'm a part of every single thing. So when let's go back to that pickle that you're in again, the trouble, the challenge, whatever it is you're facing. You can say, you know what, no matter what it is, I'm one with the people that I'm talking to. I'm one with that situation. Even if I feel like I'm in conflict with it, I'm actually one with that. And that also you can turn and say, what's the gift that has to bring me? You can bless it. You may not be blessing the situation, but you can bless it and say, what's the situation gift that it's bringing to me? What is the gift that situation, is bringing to me? Like, what is it that I'm supposed to learn from this about myself to bring myself up to a higher level? Because remember, the key is always our self-discovery, our self-awareness, and offering the gift back to life. So the moment that we withhold, right, if we're in a conflict and you feel real justified that you're mad at somebody, guess what? You withhold that energy from yourself from developing. You're not hurting that other person. You're hurting the energy that you came to be. We're all on a spiritual path. Do you agree with me on that? We're all on a spiritual path. Some people don't know that. And there's some people in our lives, probably we want to tell them, you're on a spiritual path, right? I have some family members that I could say, you're on a spiritual path. This is all by divine guidance. They'd look at me like I was crazy. But that's okay. But we're all on a spiritual path. And so the whole point is discovering it and enjoying it. Whether we acknowledge it or not, it's best to acknowledge it, because when we acknowledge that we're on the spiritual path, what happens? More things come in. More things come in that open us up to that awareness and that goodness. We are all divine. This is Wayne Dyer. We're all divine beings having a human experience. And we are all consciousness. Our life is consciousness. This teaching reminds us that everything is about consciousness. And we meet on Monday nights and we're discussing a new book by Frederick Bales. And I'm telling you, if you want to join us on Monday nights, you're welcome to. We do a Zoom call at 7 o'clock. It's only a half hour, about 35 minutes, and it's really great. But Frederick Bales is, his whole focus is on your mind can heal you. And the whole idea is that we are consciousness. And in our discussion the other night, we were laughing, saying, you know, sometimes it gets kind of, you got your consciousness, you got your subconsciousness, you got your subjective, you got your this, you got, and everybody, it can get a little bit confusing. Basically, all it is our thoughts are creating our experience. And you may say, you know, well, wait a second. I didn't ask for this bad thing to happen to me. No, that's true, you didn't. You may not have. But you can look at that thing and say, what gift did that bring me? And the moment that you come from a place of positiveness, of saying everything in my experience is for good, then that too will appear good. And that too will bring a gift of goodness. But if you look at it as though something gypped me and that was really bad and I shouldn't have been treated that way and I'm a victim and blah, 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 what happens? Your energy level goes right down, and then more of the same comes into your experience, because that's the glasses that you're looking through. Those, oops, sorry. I moved my little microphone. That's the patina that you're looking for at life. So you start to begin to think, if you're suspicious of everyone and you don't trust anyone, guess what happens? You'll bring more people into your experience that are not trustworthy, simply because that's what you're looking for. So the important thing to remember is always look for the good. And the moment you look for the good, everything changes. Many times, we put such a burden on ourselves to be more and do more. Anybody else do that? You're trying to be more and do more? Just me? Everybody. Everybody's doing that. We're all trying, I should be doing this. Oh, you know, I should have cleaned out that second bedroom. Oh my gosh, I got that garage I got to clean out. Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I should have written that person. I should have called that person. Whatever it is you should have done. No shoulding on yourself. Don't should on yourself. Because what happens? We have stuff going on. The importance, I think, of this teaching, I started listening to a meditation, a short little guided meditation. In fact, I'm going to share it with you after this talk, about self-love. And I start out every morning with this very simple, it's just very simple, but it makes a difference. It has such an effect. Even my little Bo, my little 2-year-old cat, who likes to wake me up at 5:30 in the morning to go get him some food. We get him the food, we go back to bed. He's still rambling around and going crazy and being a cat. And I put that tape on. I'm like, okay, we're going to meditate now on self-love, my dear. He totally zens out. So I'm like, there's the key. I got to start that tape earlier. But when we really... the only thing that we need to do is to recognize more of our greatness. Now, I don't know about you, but when was the last time you recognized your greatness? So see, self-love is important because until we love ourselves, we can't love the rest of the world to our highest capacity. Until we actually acknowledge the goodness that's within us and who we are, then we can offer that good. But unless we recognize it in ourselves, guess what else? We don't recognize it in the other person as well. Although many of us are experts at recognizing all the good stuff with other people out there, except for ourselves. So recognizing the greatness in ourselves, and Ruth Wagner, I'm only on page 1 and I have 7 pages. I don't think we'll get to it all. You know, I sit down and I walk around, I think, what wants to come through me? And I start typing, and then I'm just like, oh, here's an interesting article. Oh, here's an interesting, typing. So all of a sudden last night I was like, it was midnight, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wrote a lot. Well, like half the stuff I didn't even know that I said it. Somebody else must have. We are the energy of spirit, alight and alive within us. All we have to do is lose the idea that we're less than sensational. Did you wake up this morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, you are sensational? You know, I know I've shared it before, and I think Reverend Kathy even shared it once, that, Louise Hay has that beautiful exercise of looking in the mirror. You look yourself straight in the eye and say, I love you. I honestly, really love you. And even look at yourself full boat. I know Dr. Sue on a Sunday said the same thing. It's magical to do it. Try it. I really encourage you to look in the mirror, and you could say, you're great, you're sensational, you're awesome. Because what happens with that? You're setting the tone for the day. You're setting that whole feeling vibe for where you want to come from and what you want to see in life, right? Where you want to go. You are radiant light. I was writing, I think I was talking to my cat too. I was going, you are radiant light, now settle down. No running. I tried to work that. You know what? I'm telling you, when the heat comes out in Glendale, it was 98 yesterday. I had no ants. But I think if I come home tonight, I'm worried my house won't be there anymore because the ants will have crawled away with it. I had so many ants this morning on the counter, and all I could think about was Reverend Kusla saying, kill nothing. And I'm like, oh no. So I asked him, I go, what about ants? I go, I tried to scoop them up and save them, but you can't. So he said, no, sometimes you need to let things go on. And I know the Dalai Lama smushed a mosquito and said, go to a higher experience, or I'm releasing you. But, I still feel bad. He goes, oh, you'll still pay for killing those ants. I'm like, oh, gosh. So I bless them all and say, go to your homes. Don't come to my home. We are not here to play small. We are here to really acknowledge not only our greatness, but everybody in our experience. And you know the difference between when you're with a friend that appreciates who you are versus someone that's kind of cranky, or they're kind of like, they're only kind of half-baked. They're only half-baked as your friend. You know the difference, and you feel the difference. So we want to be around people that are not only love themselves and are life-affirming, but they're with you. They're on board with you. They're like, yeah, they get you. Because you want to be with those people, because those are the ones that help you advance in your superpowers, right? Because the moment you start acknowledging your own self-love and your own self-worth, what happens? Things start to bubble up. You start to get ideas. Maybe, hey, I may go do this, I may go do that. Things happen because you're in that space. Let's see. Our charge is to hold each other in kindness and see each other in their true light and in harmony. Now, have you ever tried getting along with someone that is impossible to get along with? Have you ever tried that? I have. I had a boss that was a pill, and he was so difficult, and he had been in construction, and he was used to working with guys, and he was kind of aggressive. He was a bully, and he swore a lot, and he was just offensive. And thank God I have this teaching, because I kept going, you know what? There's a pony in there somewhere. There just has to be a pony in there somewhere. And I struggled, and then finally I said, I'm not going to struggle, and I don't want to struggle with this anymore. And I thought, you know what? I am just going to bless that guy. I can't make sense of him, but I'm going to bless him. I'm just going to bless him. And little by little, we worked together for 12 years. And by year 10, he was a completely different person. And I'm grinning about it because guess what? The other people don't change as much as you change, right? The moment you change the way you see things, the circumstances change. So I laugh and everybody's like, how did you get him to change? I can't believe how nice he is now. I'm like, I just would crack up because I thought I couldn't figure it out. So I just kept blessing the situation. Like, I'm just blessing this. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm going to know only good comes out of this. I'm going to see the goodness in this person, da-da-da-da-da. And by the time we parted, because the building sold, and by the time we parted, he said, I want to tell you something. I only became great because of you. And I would go into my meetings with all your ideas, and without you, I wouldn't have kept this job. He goes, I would have never stayed on. You made my whole life shine. And I was like, wow. I mean, that was a big 180. I mean, that was a big, almost 360, change. And I thought, isn't it interesting? I didn't even set out like, I'm going to fix his wagon. Because, sometimes when people are jerky to you, boy, you want to give them a piece of your mind. Well, don't give them a piece of your mind, right? You need that piece of your mind, right? You need that. But we do, don't we? We think, oh, I'm not going to let them step on me. I'm going to show them. And it's like, guess what? It never works. It may work temporarily, but it never works. And why doesn't it work? Because you're not coming from love. The moment you come from love, everything shifts. And that's what we always have to remember. No matter what it is, if you come from love, even if you have to I'm just going to take a breath. I'm going to say, love is in this spot. God is here in action right here and now, and it's always working out. Boom. The second you do that, everything shifts. So did he change? Yeah, he did change. But guess what? I changed. So I changed, and it became the catalyst of things started, working together. Okay. Grant, I forgot to ask, are we going to flash merry lights when things are going?
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
Okay, good. Okay. I was like a puppet there. I was talking like this is lamb chop with, remember Sherry Lewis with lamb chop? There you go. In religious science, we learn that there's one mind, right? There's only one mind. It's one spirit. It lives and moves and has its being in each and every one of us uniquely, but it's only one mind. So the moment we start to see separation, we've just agreed with duality. We've just agreed with there's two minds. Now, I know we're doing the Aladdin's Lamp on Tuesdays, the reading. We're almost at the end. We got like 8 little pages left. I read to the end last night because I wanted to see what happened in that one situation. So, and that's a great book too. I encourage you, Aladdin's Lamp, by Bill Hornaday. And he was how I started religious science. I worked in investment banking, and I was driving every morning to Century City, and my hours were 6 a.m. to 2, and there was this radio program, a health program I used to listen to, and then it would switch to this Bill Hornaday speaking, and I remember listening to him, and then I heard Dr. Frank on the radio. And I thought, who are these people? Like, what are they talking about? This is fascinating. So I came all the way down here and sat in the very back. We used to have chairs back there, and it was Easter Sunday, and the place was packed. You remember that? How it used to be standing room only. And we were in the back, and I thought, wow. And so I couldn't figure out why they had all these boxes of Kleenex around. I'm like, what's with the Kleenex? And then Dr. Frank started to speak. And once he started to speak, I started to cry. And I'm like, oh, I get it. Okay, I know where those Kleenex boxes are there. And why were people crying? Did you ever find yourself crying when you hear something, or somebody gives a talk and you go, oh my God, they've been tapping into my brain because they're talking exactly about what I needed to hear about? The reason is because, number one, there is that one mind, right? There is one mind, but it's your home. Your home. When they speak, when we speak, when your friends speak, when anybody speaks, that universal language of love, of acceptance, of harmony, of peace, of a can-do kind of a situation, it resonates with your inner being, and your inner being goes, yes, 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 I want more of that. That's what we want. We want to do more of that kind of stuff. And that's why people were crying like, wow, I think I found my home here. Did you ever feel like that when you came here? Like, wow, this is the place where I belong. Somewhere along the line, we've accepted the idea that we're broken and need to be fixed. Anybody else feel like that? Sometimes it's like, I got to figure out what's wrong with this. Why isn't this working out? Da-da-da-da-da. You can waste a lot of time trying to figure out why you're broken. How about instead coming back from, hey, I'm knowing this goodness. I remember I was watching this interview with Steve Harvey, and he was talking about taking a risk, and he likened it to being on a parachute, on a plane, and about to parachute out of a plane. And he said, no matter what happens, you have to take the chance. You have to take the leap of faith. You can stay on the plane and never jump if you don't want to, but your experience will be one of, not as great of things as you wanted for yourself. But in order to really take the risk and to go into your great adventure of life, you have to, number one, jump off the plane, but number two is you have to pull that parachute. You have to pull that thing so it lets you down to a new territory. So it's always about taking the risk, and if you don't jump off the plane, it never happens. It doesn't mean your life won't be, you'll have a nice life, but it won't be as exciting as if you would have jumped. There's a story of a student that spent years and years and years diligently looking for God. She meditated, she fasted, she went on long hiking trips alone by herself, all this kind of stuff. And finally, she feels like she gets in touch with God. And she says, God, I'm so happy that you arrived. I was so worried you were never going to show up. And God replies, I know, that's what took so long. I know, that's what took so long. Sometimes we're so busy trying to figure stuff out. What happens? We push it away. We push it away because we're so busy with the energy rather than just allowing. And there's such a different energy when you allow things to happen versus trying to make things happen. Did you ever try to make something happen? Did you ever try to make a relationship work? Oh my God, those are scary. Yeah, when you're you're in a relationship and you're just like, oh, if I'm more this and I'm more that, then they'll like me more or whatever. It never works, does it? Because unless you're absolutely yourself, you'll never resonate with the person in the way that you should. We're already one with the Spirit. You're already one with the consciousness. We learn in religious science that life is a result of our consciousness. And what we think about becomes our reality. In Genesis, it speaks about when God created the world, then God took time to sit back and say that it was good. He took time to say, hey, pretty good stuff I built here, isn't it? Look at this universe I just created. Have you done that with your life? Have you sat back and said, okay, let's do an assessment of the good stuff. What are the things that are working out? If you were going to be your cheerleader, we're great cheerleaders for our friends, aren't we? We can say all the great stuff that our friends have done, but when it comes to acknowledging ourselves, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but it's very important. It's important because that's what you bring out into the world. So we need to do the same in our lives. Be grateful for our greatness. Just be grateful for the things that you are. Knowing, and take a look at what they are. When I go to Chicago, my whole family lives in Chicago, and I always try to make it down to the Art Institute. Much to my family's chagrin, they're like, are we going to the Art Institute again? Because you have to see those paintings live, you just have to. And they have a big collection of Georgia O'Keeffe. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but she does the giant flowers. And Georgia O'Keeffe said the whole reason behind why she painted the flowers was because she said, we walk by flowers all the time and never pay attention to them. And when you really take a good look at all the bits and parts that make up a beautiful flower, not just the leaves, but the stem and the stamen and the little thingies that get on your clothes and stain everything and all that stuff, when you look at those, it's such a different, when you really take a good look at it. So she's examining a flower. I think to myself, we ought to look at our lives. Examine your life every day and say, what's working for me and what isn't? Where do I feel kind of not so hotsy-totsy about, and where do I want to expand? The only thing we can control are our own thoughts. I'm not even going to go there. There's a big, long paragraph there. I wanted to read this thing I found a thing last night. I must have been thinking about exercising because I said, how much are you exercising your spiritual muscle? When we first go to the gym, you start out with the light weights, right? And it's the same with this teaching. You take on some light thoughts and things happen. But when we really think about manifesting things in our lives and creating things in our life, in the Aladdin's lamp, he just has, Bill Hornady has a beautiful, they're talking about a woman that he goes, the kids come to him and say, our mom is about to make her transition. Can you help us? We don't think she's ready to go, da-da-da-da-da. They go to the hospital, and he's standing there, and she's kind of in and out of a coma, and the doctors are saying, we're ready to say goodbye. This is it. And he's standing there, and all he says is, God is in action right here and now, making everything well. That's basically all he says. And they kind of say something, and the woman's color starts to change. She starts to come out of the coma. All these different things happen. And she recovers. And they're all like, what did you do? And he's like, all I did was declare that God was in action. He gives another example of a man that had had a heart attack, was living on a farm in Barstow by himself. He's out in the middle of the boonies. They're saying he's probably not going to make it, da-da-da-da-da. And he's listening to, I thought that was hilarious, he's listening to KFI on the radio. And it's Bill Hornaday on the radio, very same program I listened to years ago. So he's listening to it, and Bill Hornaday is saying, if there's anyone out there that's feeling hopeless or feeling helpless or feeling completely lost, like this is the end, I'm reaching out to you. So he decides he's going to call Bill Hornaday, and he does. And he says, Bill Hornaday, I want to come and see you. And he's out in Barstow. He goes, I missed the express bus. I'm coming, blah, 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 blah. So he starts going on his way to Bill Hornaday. He goes, I need you to pray for me. So he's on the bus, and Bill Hornaday's got a full day. He's doing stuff. He's writing. He's making trip plans and all kinds of stuff. He's busy, busy, busy. And this guy, Jed, shows up in his office and says, look, I'm healed. He was having heart problems. He was thinking he was going to die on the bus, all this kind of stuff. He goes, look, I'm healed. He goes, and you healed me. You prayed for me the whole time. And Bill Hornaday looks at him and goes, I didn't pray for you. I haven't even started to pray for you. I've had such a busy day, I haven't even thought about it. And he's like, what? He goes, well, then how did I heal? He goes, you healed yourself. Now, how did he heal himself? By getting into the space of saying, I of myself do nothing. There's a power that's working through me, that's knowing the solution, that is God in action, and he didn't even know the words. He didn't know the teaching. He didn't know any of it. But what he did was he surrendered and he trusted. He trusted that I'm going to be well because this guy over here is praying for me. Now, this guy over here wasn't praying for him, but guess what? Our mind doesn't know the difference between our imagination and what's real. Kind of scary. I mean, that's why we get so freaked out in scary movies or silly movies, right? Or because our mind doesn't know the difference between our imagination and what's real. So he imagined that he was being taken care of in prayer by this great man that knew so much more than him, that he was willing to surrender healing. And it happened. So think about that in your own life if you want to create something. What is it that you need to do? What is it that you need to take a look at right now about whatever situation you're facing? Just say, I am one with Spirit, and Spirit is one with me. I am God in action. And that God in action knows exactly what to do in this situation and how to produce the best and most richest rewards that I could ever think of, right? And you let it go, and you trust in it. And that's how prayer works. The mind that I use is the mind of God. Reverend Bill Curtis was a great writer. He wrote, this is an excerpt from what he wrote in Science of Mind magazine. I think it was like in the 1990s. God never asks a question because God already knows the answers. Since I'm one with God, I have all access to all knowledge, all wisdom, and all intelligence. Think about that. Right where we're sitting, right here and now, you can tap into that power anytime that you want to. And what's holding us back? Our thought that we can't do it. Our thought that we're not good enough, or we're not holy enough, or we're not smart enough, or we haven't studied enough, or we haven't made enough money, or we don't have the right relationships, or whatever it is, whatever the limited story that we're telling ourselves. Right here and now, you can tap into that power and create whatever it is you want, right? So you have to know what it is that you want. I know what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I have all the answers. There is something within me that knows, and I trust it totally. It's never wrong, and it is always right. I am filled with confidence because I know, and I know that I know. Did you ever get to that place where you know, and then you know you know? I know that sky is blue, and I know that sky is blue. I never have to worry about the outcome because I'm always being divinely guided into perfect right action and right decisions. I never worry about The means? Because the end is already secure. My purpose in life is to express God. So please repeat with me. The mind that I use is the mind of God. Everything that I do is being operated upon by the divine law of God in action. I declare for myself that I am perfect, whole, and complete. I declare for myself, right here and now, that today is the best day ever. I declare, that wasn't a lot of energy with that. Did you feel that? It's the best? Yeah, it's the best day ever. Okay, so I declare for myself, I am joyous, I am filled with love, and I am so excited to be alive. I am the radiant light of God. Now, please look at a neighbor and look at them and say, you are the radiant light of God. And we are together in one mind, filled with love. And so it is. Okay. Thank you. That would conclude our talk, even though I didn't talk probably 6 of the 7 pages, but that's okay. That's how it goes. This is the time of our sharing of our gift. We're going to invite our beautiful Ruth Wagner here. You're just going to sit right there, and we're going to say together, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth, we could say together, to heal, to bless, and to prosper. All those who receive, I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love. And so it is. And now we're going to have a very brief little guided meditation on self-love. Are you with me on that? Okay, good. And then we'll have time after that for a couple short questions. Okay? All righty. And here's our music. I'm going to sit down. And I invite you to, as you're sitting in your chair, uncross your arms and legs if you can. And just focus right now on your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And as you breathe in, picture a beautiful light coming into your body. And as you're breathing out, see it releasing anything that is unlike your great good self. Breathing in and breathing out. One more big breath. Take a deep breath now. I am born of love. I am the one mind of God, expressing uniquely as me. I am knowing for myself a new awareness of the gift that I was born with. I pay attention to that as my superpower. And I know that God, by means of me, is expressing ever and ever more the beauty, the joy, the wisdom, the compassion, the peace, the hopefulness, the happiness of life right here. I deserve love, and I give self-love to me. I become aware of the goodness of life, and I affirm every day that I love myself. I truly love myself, and in loving myself, I open up my heart, and the capacity to love more. People, places, things, pets. Right in this moment, I allow the beauty of life to express and to show itself to me. I allow it to show up in ways that I can't even imagine. I am a divine being of light. And in this oneness of mind, I keep myself aware that I am also a divine manifester. I am a co-creator with Spirit. And that co-creation opens me up to so many beautiful things. I allow myself the freedom in life to just relax. There's nothing I need to do. There's only something I need to know, and that is that God is and I am. I embrace the richness of life, and that richness expresses through me in abundant ways. Money, friends, beautiful events, musical events, artistic events, beautiful things, beautiful friendships, and the joy of moving through life unfettered, uncontrolled, just relaxed and at ease and at peace with who I am in my own skin. Breathing in, I acknowledge this truth about myself, and I release anything that might have been stopping or blocking me, any thoughts of limitation, any thoughts of things that have put a ceiling on what I can do or where I can go. I open up to my own expansiveness, and I remain open to all of those in my life and their expansiveness. I feel a real sense of joy and connection with people, and I allow that to grow and blossom however it's supposed to. And in this moment, I'm filled with gratitude at the greatness of life, the beauty of life, the wonder of life. I allow myself to just revel in that beauty, to just be in that place of contentment, being in the now, being present, and accepting that goodness. And so I'm going to count down from 1 to 5. And as we do, we're going to be breathing and knowing this truth has permeated every cell in our body, every essence of our being, illuminating everything in our spiritual realm. And so we count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in and exhaling a nice big breath, and bring yourself back into the room. Okay. All righty. So now I believe it's question time. Does anybody have any questions? No questions. I think there's always questions on Wednesdays, but here, every time I speak, there's no questions. Because we've answered everything, right? All the answers have been figured out. We're all set, right? So there's no questions. Nobody wants a prayer treatment or anything. Yes?
This is my first time here.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Can you explain what a prayer treatment is? Is that to pray for someone?
It's a prayer, yes.
Okay. My grandson, his name is Wolfie.
His name, I didn't
His
hear.
name is Wolfie.
Wolfie, okay.
And he's having brain surgery tomorrow.
Okay.
He's 4.
Okay.
And I just like to say a prayer and send him, good energy, that everything's going to be okay.
Okay. All righty. So what we do when we call it a treatment, we just have a method of praying that is, there's a condition that's out there, and in this case it's Wolfie's condition for his brain surgery, and we're knowing that that condition is being treated with a prayer.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes,
okay.
absolutely.
So this is what I know, and I'm knowing that each and every one of us in this room are knowing this for Wolfie as well. There is one power, and that power is God. It is the universal intelligence, the creative mind that permeates all things and knows all things. It is the creator of my being and each and every one of us. In this prayer for Wolfie, we are knowing perfect divine right action, perfect health, perfect surgery. The hands of the surgeon are the hands of God, operating and making sure that all is well. I am knowing the divine guidance of God moves through this experience with Wolfie and how it affects his entire family and his grandmother. We are knowing right here and right now that the life of God is in action in Wolfie, moving, living, and having its being. Wolfie is open and receptive to this perfect healing because God and he are one. And in that oneness, we are knowing God does not know any illness, does not know any suffering, does not know anything other than its perfection of health. And so we know right here and now, all is well. The surgery takes place and is perfect. Everything that needs to be revealed is revealed. Everything that needs to be healed is healed. And in truth, there is nothing to heal other than to know the truth of this perfect body, perfect mind, perfect Wolfie, right here, right now. As we release this prayer into the law of mind receives this and is already working on it, already bringing about the desired results. We let it be so, and together we say, and so it is. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
I have a testimony. You had prayed for me, for all of us, a few weeks back, and my foot is healed now, almost 100%, well, about probably 80%.
Fantastic.
To the point where I went to the Santa Barbara Bowl 2 weeks ago to see Josh Groban.
Oh, yes.
We got upgraded our seats. We had 2 empty seats on each side of us. We were eye level with him, only about 12 rows back.
Wow.
And it was magnificent.
Well, what a great consciousness you have, too. I mean, because guess what? It's a twofold thing, isn't it? I mean, we can pray for the person. All you have to do is allow it to be. So I know Wolfie right now is probably in, hospital and prep and all that stuff. But guess what? In the one mind of God, it's already known, right? It's already known, so it's already happening. So what's beautiful is that, hey, you allowed it to be, and look what happened. That's a great story. We're glad your foot's healed too. Yay!
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up, everyone. So go out and have a great rest of your Wednesday. Thank you. I'm gonna just move.